Hello everybody, thanks for stopping back by Wild Bird Creative. I have a sheet here in my journal sketchbook that I had cleaned a stencil off. And while I like it, I don't like it enough to leave it as is. So I'm going to start with my stencil. This is a call box stencil. Let's see, it says L755 if you want to get it. It's a great one. You can check out her site, nataliestudio.com. Let's get started. I'm going to start with Brilliant Yellow Green. And I'm not adding too much to this because I've already got that purple down there. But I just want to add a little bit of interest here and there. And this is a nice light paint, which is one of the things I love about it. And I'm just going in here and there, adding it. You may think this is an odd combination, but I wanted something that would really contrast. I wanted to have a very different feel to this. See, it's just giving me something very nice and light. I might even just go right down the middle while I'm here. Use up the last of my green. And then I've just got a piece of light yellow tissue paper. And I'm just going to clean my stencil off this way. This way I also end up with another print that I can build on. See, it just ends up with some very light detail that'll be nice. So here is the base. Very simple. And I want to add to it immediately. I've got my stamp that I got on Amazon. I cannot recall whose it was. And I got this Moonlight Tint and Hue Duo. And this was also on Natalie's site. So I'm just going to get a little bit. I don't want a lot. I don't want it all over. I just want a smidge of detail. And I'm not even covering the whole thing. Just bits here and there. And I think the blue is great for this. It adds a very nice pop of color to an otherwise kind of uniform background. It's a very organic feel with the vines. There we go. Maybe clean it off by putting some there. Doesn't really matter if it overlaps a little. Make sure I put my cover right on. Now I have my scraps already on hand. This is a sheet from an old trigonometry book that was in a moldy discard pile. And I kept the pages that were good. Now this being a textbook, the paper is quite glossy. It's different than if you grab just an old book. And it's kind of nice to have a little bit of sheen to it. It also doesn't suck up the ink or the paint that you put on it quite as much, so you get something very crisp. And what else are you going to do with an old trigonometry book? Let's see, do I want... You know what? Let's pull this back over. And just go right over this. Give it a little more interest. It's just an old page from another damaged book. And let's put that one right down there. And you can see I had stuff on the other side, but that's not the colors that I want for this. So I'm just using the other side. Now to add even a little more interest, I'm going to put some detail right on that. Let me actually slide this over a little bit. And let's use maybe a little bit of turquoise. And I'm just going to let it mix right with the green that I already have on here. I'm going to use the same sponge and everything. And I'm just going to come in and very, very lightly add some more detail to that page. Just a hint of color. And I might even carry it over a little bit onto the other sheet, just because I've got that same color in there. And I think it makes for some interesting additional color and line. I don't think there's enough to really do anything with this, but it's just such an easy way to clean your stencil off. No, not too much, but that's okay. So there we go. Now the next thing is just a piece of paper from a security envelope. I have stacks of security envelopes now because they do make such a nice bit of texture on a piece. And I'm not quite going to overlap the trigonometry page because I want that little part to still show through. Let's put the lid on this and slide it right out of the way. And I have just a tea tag from Yogi Tea, and I'm just going to trim that up a little bit. I don't need it that long for this one. And I'll just put a little bit of glue right there. And then I just have this little scrap that I made up when I was doing an example. And I hung on to it. And I'm just going to center that, pretty close to center, on the security envelope. Now if you wanted, you could secure this so that it wouldn't move, but I don't mind that it's going to wiggle a little bit. I'm going to get my art crayon. This one is just plain lavender. And I just want to come in along the edge here. Hit the corners a little bit. And I'm being very, very loose with this. so that it does not look like I drew just a straight line. I'm letting it smudge here and there in a little further, just to soften that a little bit. Put that on. Make sure I put the top on this right away. And I think what I will finish up with on this is just a very, very simple stamp. And I'm going to use, I don't want the blue. Let me grab my bag of stamps here. And I think I'll use sepia. I have my Tim Holtz fragment stamp. And I'm just going to add just a little bit, a fragment of detail here and there, just to obscure some of the math page. There we go. Let's add another one down here. And we are done. I mean, that was 10, 11 minutes, and you've got a completed page with a little free swinging spot. I hope that you'll try something using up your scraps, combining some different media. Dive in, have fun. Creativity doesn't have to be perfect. It's just about learning. Thanks for stopping by. Wild Bird Creative.